Hello everyone and welcome to this video. In this session we're going to go over our working process and how Google Earth fits into it. So here we have a blank drawing board. Now starting any project usually begins with a briefing. Now the briefing is going to establish what kind of a project this is and what the goals and the needs of the project are. Normally, we're never going to start with detailed planning straight off the bat. We will always require a concept first. Whether the concept is prepared by us or by our client is going to depend on the project. We always require a concept first because detailed planning, by its very nature, takes a long time and is therefore much more expensive. And in order to reduce the cost, we will first of all prepare a basic concept and iterate on it as many times as necessary so that the concept will provide a sufficient base for detailed planning and in this way save a lot of time. So I'm going to draw an arrow here and I'm going to establish that the concept planning is the next step. Now, if the project requires mapping, then that is going to be a separate pipeline. Maybe the mapping will be a prerequisite to the concept plan, or maybe it's going to come as a next step, but usually it is a prerequisite. So I'm going to create a offshoot here from the main pipeline, and I'm going to create a mapping output here. I'm going to call this mapping, and we'll make this one red. Any kind of mapping that we're going to need, we're most likely going to prepare inside of QGIS. So I'm going to create QGIS box as the next step to mapping. From QGIS, we're going to have two outputs. This is going to be either a raster or a vector output or both. And then those outputs we are going to supply to our clients in either a Google Earth format or in the raw data format that the output is natively in. So I'm going to create a client box and I'm going to create a flow from the raster and vector outputs. And I'm going to call this raw data. I'm also going to create a box for Google Earth and the raster and vector outputs are going to feed into that box. Our clients also play an integral part in this entire pipeline because they are going to supply us with concepts very often, and they also going to supply us with feedback. So our client is also going to create drawings or concepts inside of Google Earth and provide notes, and then they're going to share that information with us. So I'm going to create a flow between the client and Google Earth, and this is going to go both ways because we are feeding the client with data and they're providing us with data as well. Now, if we're going to create concept plans, then those are usually very simple and Google Earth is sufficient for most drawings, I would say. So we may as well just create the concept planning directly inside of Google Earth. So from the concept planning box, I'm going to create a flow directly to Google Earth. Sometimes we may have to use CAD or QGIS to prepare the concept plan. This is in instances where the concept plan is a little bit more complicated. Google Earth does not in itself have very sophisticated drawing tools. They are, again, enough for most concept plans, but in some cases we may need to use CAD or QGIS to complete those concept plans. So I'm going to create another box here for CAD and QGIS. And I'm going to create a flow between the concept plan and the QGIS and CAD box. And this is going to feed back into Google Earth. Now, all of these flows are going to go both ways. So the information is being fed back from our client back to concept planning and again through CAD and QGIS when necessary. So all of this data is going to go both ways because we are constantly iterating on it. We're not going to go into detailed planning until the concept plan has been sufficiently iterated on. And finally, if we require detailed planning, this is going to be the very last step. So I'm going to create a new box here and I'm going to call this detailed planning. And I'm going to create a two-way flow between the detailed planning and the CAD and QGIS. Now, normally we're always going to use CAD or QGIS for our detailed plans because a concept plan for us is strictly two-dimensional. By which I mean that the concept plan deals only with the location and the extent of things. whereas a detailed plan may be, for example, 3-dimensional or 4-dimensional. A 3-dimensional plan, for instance, may deal with the volumetrics of things, such as the volumes of earth being moved to build certain earthworks, or the volume of water being moved across a site. Now, any output that we create, whether it be through concept planning, mapping, or detailed planning, is always going to be fed into Google Earth. We may supply our clients with the raw data, such as the CAD drawings or the raw rasters and vector files, but ultimately, we're always going to create a Google Earth version of any output and supply our clients or colleagues with that. So from the CAD and QGIS box here that is being fed by the detailed planning, I'm going to create another output and I'm going to feed that into the Google Earth box. And again, this is a two-way flow. I'm also going to create another flow from the CAD and QGIS to the client box. And this is going to be raw data from the detailed planning. This is basically our entire process from a general perspective. Just to recap, a project begins by briefing, which establishes the type of project and the needs and goals of the project. Then if mapping is required, we're going to prepare that inside of QGIS, and we're going to have either a raster or a vector output, and we're going to feed that into Google Earth, and we may separately supply our clients with the raw data if necessary. And if we have to create concept planning, then we will either prepare that in Google Earth in most cases, or we may prepare that inside of CAD and QGIS and feed the output back into Google Earth before we supply it to our clients. If detailed planning is required, we are not going to go into it until a good concept plan has been prepared. So detailed planning will normally be the very last step, and we're going to prepare those plans inside of CAD or QGIS, and we're going to again feed the output into Google Earth and supply those to our client in that kind of form. And we may also separately supply them with the raw data of the plan if they require it. All the while, our clients are also going to provide us with concepts and feedback through Google Earth. So from this entire pipeline, as you can see, Google Earth is a very central and integral component. It is basically our communication tool with most of our clients and colleagues. We see Google Earth as something of a sketchbook or a notebook, but with GIS capabilities, so that the sketches and notes are also related to a real-world location, so that it gives them a lot of context. Even though Google Earth is a simple application in itself, in that it doesn't have very sophisticated drawing capabilities, it is nevertheless an amazing application for basic concept designs and for communicating back and forth with our clients. Many of our clients and colleagues do not necessarily have the capacity to open something like CAD drawings or GIS files, which require certain applications. So Google Earth is a very convenient way of sharing information and data that may otherwise come in many different forms. In the next sessions, we're going to go in detail into how we use Google Earth in our everyday work, and also how you may convert data between different applications and Google Earth. For now, I hope that this video has provided you with a general overview of the pipeline and how Google Earth fits into it. Thank you for watching, and see you in the next sessions.